While we're getting started, I would love to know, because this is a network-wide mastermind, where everybody is at, where everybody does business, because we're going to do things a little bit differently today, and we're going to actually have a mastermind, which means I'm hoping everybody will participate and there's no bad questions, no bad answers. I just want to have a really, really good conversation. So I thought we would start with just, where do you do business? Where are you at and where do you do business? Does anybody want to start? Or do you guys not do business?
Well, I do business in Portland, or do you want to know specifically where in Portland?
Portland. Yep.
Portland.
Awesome. Thank you, Troy. I appreciate you being here.
I do business in the South Metro, Sherwood, Wilsonville, Newburgh, Beaverton.
Portland Metro. Love it. Thanks, Chris.
Portland Metro as well.
Hello, Katya. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for chiming in. Who else? Where are you at? Where do you do business?
Hi, I'm in Salem, Willamette Valley.
I love it. First Salem person. Hi, Eleanor. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm also from Salem too.
Salem. I love it. Representing. Good morning, Melissa. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm in the Salem, Willamette Valley area as well.
And do you say your name Pizzo or Pizza?
Yes, Paswana.
I love it. Thank you for being here. And we've got Eugene in the house. I see in the chat. I know Karen and Debbie are Portland Metro. Jake, who is KW Sunset Corridor, is Portland Metro. Am I missing anybody? Has anybody not had a chance to say where they're from?
I'm from Portland Metro, but I also do Willamette Valley because I live in McMinnville.
Oh, awesome. Ooh, you got a wide territory there. I love it. Well, thank you for being here and thank you for chiming in. So what today's mastermind is going to be about, or what we've set the theme to be about, and at the end of the day, this is 100% for you. So if there's questions that you want to ask the group, or there are topics you want to talk about, we will absolutely stick to your agenda and make sure you get all your questions answered. And the theme of today is COVID has caused us, or had caused us, to think outside the box. And so if you started your business pre-COVID, then when COVID hit and restrictions were put in place, we may have had to pivot the way that we show up in our business, the way that we show up for our clients, and the way that we interact on a day-to-day basis. I used to, when COVID first started, I said, we probably advanced technologically 5 years in about 5 months. So we had to pivot quickly. And there are some things that showed up in our businesses that caused efficiencies that in conversations over the last year and a half, they've been around, well, I don't think I'll stop doing this when we go back to normal. I've created efficiencies that I want to continue. So the conversation today and what I want to hear from all of you are, what efficiencies showed up in your business, or what best practices did you implement during COVID that you are going to continue in your business? Anybody want to share one?
Zoom. Although we are Zoom tired, I still set all consultations via Zoom. It's such, I don't know, waste of time to drive now just to meet someone sometimes, and just getting that initial consultation on and then moving on from there seems to make sense to me still.
Katya, I love that. So buyer's consultation, are you doing both buyer's consultations and talking with sellers through Zoom first?
The first meeting, yes. Instead of doing that, all that list or all that call in questions through the phone, I'm like, let's set up a time. We can go over, get their motivation, all that through Zoom, and then we set up a time to meet in the house to see everything that is done and all that. But yeah.
And what does that meeting look like?
It's similar to a consultation. I try to have, the share screen with my listing presentation or buyer presentation on, and I just go through it and get all the questions that I usually ask. So pretty similar to what it was.
I love that. Did anybody else implement Zoom or virtual consultations during COVID? Yeah, Troy.
Yep, sure did. That's all I'm doing right now. It's just saved so much time. It's amazing. And then also, there's, I think there's a little bit of safety and distance for first-time buyers consultations. You don't have to get up front and personal right across the table. That can be good, but also it can be intimidating for, first-time home buyers, for example.
I love that. And what does your consultation look like through Zoom?
Let's see. It would be, it all depends on where the buyer is or how long they've been looking or what they've been doing. So a lot of times I'll implement actually setting up a search for them in RMLS, and they can see my screen. So when we look for, the specific homes that they're looking for, and it comes up with 0 homes available, they can see that and they know it's on the market, and then we can adjust it accordingly instead of going, them getting emails and looking at listings and going, this is just, junk. Just narrow it down and let them see what actually is on the market.
That's awesome. And a great, way to share your screen through Zoom and make it even easier to do digitally. I love that. Is anybody else doing virtual consultations?
I'm not doing virtual consultations, but I am sending my listing presentation. I email it to them, and so they have some familiarity with me before we meet. So, which before I would just bring it in person.
That what such a little thing, yet such a big opportunity to improve is here's my presentation, or here's the things we're going to be talking about, so they can get their wheels turning about what questions to ask in the meeting. And that way you can go deeper because they've already looked over that information that you've given them. Do you feel like it's improved your meetings or your consultations?
I think so. I find that they have less questions, and like you said, it kind of streamlines the process a little bit. So
yeah. And you said that you're still doing consultations in person.
Yes.
Awesome. I love it. I love the difference there. What other things did you implement during COVID that you think is good practice, whether it's made your business better or it's made it more efficient? What things have shown up for you that you want to continue?
I think for my team, Katie, we realized it kind of removed the borders of where we could work. Yeah. I've just recently made the transition to Oregon. And we're still selling houses in Colorado. It made us realize, like, hey, really, as long as we can get the support structure there we needed, we can still meet with clients, run the consultations, do everything else we do from wherever we want to go. So it kind of removed the borders and the boundaries of our business, if you will, through using Zoom, through using other technology.
That's fascinating and a really good point. You could do a buyer's consultation in Colorado at 1, and at 2 o'clock be doing a buyer's consultation in Oregon, and lose no time because you didn't have to drive to a Starbucks or meet someone in the office, then go to someone's house. Like you can be more efficient and theoretically do more business. Did anybody else expand their service areas during COVID? Like, did that show up for anybody else? No. Did anybody's service area shrink during COVID? So what about, I know we did a mastermind, probably a year ago now, around efficiencies with buyers and making sure that before you go out and show a buyer 5 homes, I know that there were some buyers agents that said they would make sure that the buyer is pre-qualified. They would make sure that the buyer watched the virtual tours, maybe drove by the neighborhood, and then would only show the homes that were, the top, like, I'm going to make an offer on this type of home. Did anybody start using some of those practices in their business?
I feel they're not available as much anymore. Like all the 3D tours that we had nonstop during COVID, I don't see them anymore. And I feel like people now are going back to, at least for showings, going back to the same routine. Just they want to go see homes, and they can wear their mask or sanitize, whatever it is, but they still want to go and see them. And I don't know, I haven't done 3D the Matterport anymore either, because it's like with an added expense, and is it really providing value again, or I don't know.
Do you think that's a sign of the market, just that we have lack of inventory, so our homes are going so fast that there's not a need to do a virtual tour? Or do you think it's people want to see homes in person again?
Might be a combination, probably. I do feel like, and for myself, you know, I recently, not last year, the year before, house hunted for myself, and pictures can be deceiving, you know. So I am honest with my clients. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to show you 30 homes, but sometimes we do have to go and see those homes, because they're not, you know, the pictures might not be what you think, or the layout of the house might not be what you think. And even having 3D or floor plan is not the same thing. My point of view.
Yeah. I bought my house sight unseen 2 years ago, and I mean, I'm in the real estate industry. Like, I know what a house looks like. I know what to look for. And yet one of the things that showed up that I had never thought of was the house had an odor to it that you don't get in virtual tours.
Yep.
So that was one thing that showed up for me was, oh, there's some things that you can't get in a virtual tour that may be
Exactly.
important.
Yeah, last year I made an effort to tell my clients, drive through the neighborhood, get a feel for it, check all the tours, everything. If it's really the one, we'll go and see it. I don't feel we're doing that anymore. Like, showings are over the top. Every listing is like back-to-back showings. Every, you know, open houses are booming everywhere. So I feel that won't continue as it was. I don't know.
So you said open houses. I'm curious, everyone's opinions on were there any best practices during open houses, or are you starting to do open houses again? Like, what is your thought process, or what is your business practice with open houses moving forward?
One thing that was a positive during COVID at open houses was I could legitimately say you have to sign in because of COVID tracing. And now I'm still saying that, but people are not necessarily believing that. And so I need to find a better tactic to make sure that they are signing in and giving me all their information.
Is anyone out that, thank you, Karen. I think that's a really great practice. Is anybody else doing that as well?
I always had a sign at the door that says welcome in. Everyone that walks in is required to sign in for safety purpose, or I think it says exactly, seller requires everyone that comes in to sign in. And I don't let them choose. I'm like, oh, here's the sign-in sheet, come on in. After you're done, I'll tell you a little bit more about the house, and then you can walk around and take a look. So that for me works really well. Another thing that I do is that the first line of my sheet has a fake name, number, email. So everybody sees that first one and just follow through. They don't think. So they just write their name, their email, their phone number, and it works really well. And if someone skips one, I'll add something else. I have a code for myself that I added a fake email there, but I keep doing that. So, you know, the 10th person that walk in sees everybody fill out everything and it keeps going. So it works really well. My trick.
That's kind of
I do
genius.
that too.
I kind of love that because, well, everybody else did it, then I'll do it. Like just getting people to
Yep.
follow along with what they see everybody else doing, that herd mentality.
Exactly. And I don't give a chance. I don't ask them to, oh, can you sign in? Oh, here's the sign-in sheet. Just, you know, I give it to them. I don't. And if someone says, oh, I don't want to, or what are you going to use for? I'm like, the house is seller occupied, or the sellers want to know who came into their house. And I never had anyone say no. Sometimes they won't fill out everything. They would just put one phone number or email, but I always get information. And every now and then it's a fake number, of course, but.
So Katie, one thing I don't know if people are aware of or using, if they're with KW and have the KW app on their phone, one way that we use to capture information is we ask, do you intend on seeing other open houses this weekend or this week? Well, yes, awesome. How are you finding those? Well, I'm blah, blah, blah. Hey, awesome. I've got this amazing real estate app. What neighborhood are you looking at? You can circle it and you can go to open houses only. And here's a list of Hillsborough, Bethany right now in front of me of every open house that's listed in MLS.
Yep. Let me
And then
text it to you.
Yeah, and then you say, hey, would you like that? Well, duh, saves me time. Awesome. Hey, what's your phone number? Let me text that to you. And what was your name again? I mean, it's super simple. You're giving them something of value, and it's already in your toolbox.
Coming from contribution first before you ask for something in return. I love that.
Well, and the fun thing is you're scrolling, if they're like, ooh, hey, what's that one look like? You can say, hey, do you have an agent? No. Awesome. After the open house, would you like to go see that? Or are you available tomorrow to go look?
Yeah. Has anybody ever gone on like a historic tour of a building and you get the little like cassette and you put in your ears and it tells you about the space before, like while you're going in that? Jake, when you're talking about that, it made me think of if you go to Buckingham Palace or something, you get the headphones and you get to walk through each room and it tells you about it. But same thing with the app. Like, hey, you want to know more about this home? Like, let me send you my app so you can pull up the information about this house as you walk through it. Even if they're not going to other open houses and they just happen to be going through this one, that's another way to just get your app to them and get their information. I love that. That's fun. What else?
Katie, I have a question for Jake.
Yeah.
Is that app working well for you?
I used it for my own personal home search.
So I tried that probably a year plus ago, and I had a very difficult time.
So some of that may be, I mean, one thing I found out with the evolution of command and our toolbox at KW is sometimes it's helpful to uninstall the app and reinstall it, because it did go a pretty major overhaul at one point, and it got a little funky. So I uninstalled it, I reinstalled it. A big thing on that though, make sure you have set yourself as the agent, as your own agent, essentially. Like if I pull mine up, for example, now you won't see my face, that's my wife. She runs our day-to-day sales team, but make sure your face is showing up here, because that way, when you click down at the bottom, share your app, they're getting your information, right? So yeah, but the big thing there, Troy, is just make sure if it's acting a little weird, make sure you try uninstalling it, reinstalling it. And again, that tool for me is not, let's be real, how accurate is Zillow? Historically, how accurate has it always been? And clients still used it. So the conversation of, well, is it the most recent? Is it not the most recent? Like, that's a non-conversation for me. It's, I'm just putting another tool in their hand,
Hmm.
right? Like I'm just giving them another one. They were already using Zillow, which was terrible anyway. Their data is a little better now that they're a brokerage. I just want a conversation with them, and I want to give them the tool.
Okay.
So, but yeah, try that uninstall, reinstall. It might fix it.
Do you know if it's working well with Android too? Because I tried to share it a couple of times with Android user from an iPhone and they couldn't install it. And I'm like,
That is a challenge if you're going.
Okay.
That's one thing we did find out when, I don't know if they've resolved it now, when we were
Okay.
sharing. So I was an Android user for a long time. My wife was iPhone. Now we're reversed. But yeah, Android to Android works, iPhone to iPhone works. We did have some issues sharing across platforms. Now I don't know if they fixed that, but yes, gotcha. That was a
Okay.
challenge.
I don't think they did because I think I sent it like 2 weeks ago and I end up sending just the code and asking them to text that code to a number. And I think then they were able to install, but
Yeah, I do know an agent that
yeah.
the workaround he just bought like a super cheap domain name through GoDaddy or wherever. And then he just keeps that that website like in his notes in his phone. So then he just copies and pastes into a text. And it takes him to like a landing page essentially within his KW website to capture.
Mhm.
Switching gears a little bit, is there anything that you stopped doing during COVID that you're excited to bring back to your business? I know a conversation at our office has been door knocking, like starting to door knock again, because that was a great lead gen source. Is anybody excited to bring anything back to their business?
I have brought door knocking back, and I was pleasantly surprised that people still remembered me. And so just in my neighborhood, I was leaving things on their door or porch, like for holidays and so forth, but I wasn't interacting with them personally, but now I am again. So that's been nice.
I love that, Karen. So tell me, or tell us, best practices. Like, do you knock on the door and then step back 3 paces? Do you ask if they're okay? Do you wear a mask? Like, what are you doing to make it a comfortable situation?
I usually have a flyer with neighborhood comps that I stick in their door, and then I ring the bell, step back, and I have not had anybody say anything about them not wanting me to be there or anything. Everybody's seemed happy to see me. I think just any interaction, especially at the very beginning, was a good thing for people. So yeah.
Awesome. I love that. And do you think that dropping things off in the interim between or while COVID was going on helped with that brand recognition or name recognition?
So yeah.
What kind of things would you drop off?
Last 4th of July, I dropped off little flags with my card attached. On Halloween, I would just do a page of the comps and staple a candy bar to it. In fact, one woman, and I've done that for the last couple of years, one woman told her little girl at the door that this was the candy fairy. So she obviously remembered me. So yeah, things like that.
I love that. And thinking through so Halloween, 4th of July, there's almost something every single month.
And at Christmas, I do the same thing with candy canes. So yeah.
I love that. You could almost do New Year's, Valentine's Day, March Madness, or St. Patrick's Day.
One that I don't see done very often, and this one is a hit every single time. Go to the Dollar Tree, get a box of sidewalk chalk. Inside a Ziploc bag, they get 3 colors of sidewalk chalk, your business card, and an entry to enter. And you have them we did this during COVID for a lot of our agents. The kids can draw out in front of their house, and then you make it a contest. And you say, on Friday, we're going to leave a plant on the front door of the winner. So it'll be a blue plant and it'll have my business cards in it. Drive up and down the street on Friday and see who won. And we had so many people that were posting on the, shared on our share your picture on the Facebook page. But it was like a lifeline for people during COVID. And we would drive through those neighborhoods weeks after with other pop-bys, and you would see that they were still drawing. They're writing messages to their neighbors, and that's super inexpensive. It's like 25 cents or less because you can make those little boxes of chocolates so far.
I love that. And I've Sarah, thank you for sharing that. I think we had a team in our office do that too. And they would have each house or each person who participated post it on Facebook and tag them in the post. So then it's social media recognition as well. So some really, really fun ideas. What else, guys? What are things that you're excited to bring back to your business now that COVID restrictions have been lifted?
I wanted to ask if anyone is back doing events for clients and what do they look like? I know I have a few clients that even though restrictions are lifted, they are not comfortable. And I want to do something, but I don't know how to accommodate too well. So anyone?
And we went back to doing ours, Katya. We actually did our first one in Colorado in December. Now we started doing a mixture. So we do some pop-up type stuff where it's more like they drop in and leave. So like they grab a cup of frozen yogurt on us and leave. They can congregate and hang out if they want to. We did do a big bowling event, but we rented like several lanes. So we were spread out. I don't know. We found most of our clients either I think it's what we're all experiencing. We're going to do, we're going to offer it. And if some clients want to come, they come and then they participate at whatever level they're comfortable. And we do have some that just aren't comfortable coming yet. And I think we just are letting them participate at whatever level they're comfortable with.
I've seen a lot of outdoor like food truck type events, ice cream truck type events, and also having some type of photo op at those events so that people stop, take their picture, and then you have a reason to reach out to them again. So using it as like, if you have whatever the event is, just some type of opportunity for them to engage with you and for you to reach back out.
Yeah, I will say, actually, as you asked that, Katya, what I'm realizing with our business is in some ways it's a new practice that we added during COVID because we couldn't do our big events with all of our clients, but we were able to do several of these little pop-up style events because they were cheaper, and we could spread them out, and we might only have 10 or 20 or 30 filter through that, or 50, whatever, but it actually enabled us to add in more instead of less, but they were just more frequent and smaller.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Well, let's open it up. Anybody have any questions regarding these topics or other things you just want to ask some other great agents in a true mastermind fashion, whatever. Questions you want to ask the group? Everybody has it all figured out. I love it.
Well, this is like the funny part of Zoom calls where like I always have to get comfortable with the silence because it feels like it takes like 30 seconds for people to find the unmute button. Like everyone has to be quiet. And then finally we're like, okay, I'll ask my thing.
I'd like to know what everybody thinks as far as, are we back to normal? I mean, for the most part, are people carrying the mask around in showings and wipes, and or do your clients do any of that?
I think it's so dependent on the market. So we're in Salem and I haven't seen a mask in a store. It's like 1 in 100 people have a mask in a store. Same with open houses. And then you go to Portland and like every restaurant's still wearing them and people are still wearing them and I'm seeing them. Everyone has them at open houses. The box is still out at open houses. So I'm curious the market that you guys are in when you answer this question too.
So a few months ago, I was almost gloved up in a bunny suit with my clients, when we're going to show houses or view houses. But recently, of course, the mandate has been lifted, but I think to me, it feels back to normal.
Me too.
I try to respect, of course, whatever is in the remarks, right? So if the sellers are asking masks, we go with masks. I actually ask my clients to still wear that. I have small kids that cannot be vaccinated. So I'm like, you know what? For a little while, we're going to continue that. I find that people are still, in that kind of haze that they don't know either. So we just follow kind of the rules. But I think less with wipes and all that for sure. Mostly the mask. So what I'm seeing, like the first open house I did during the heat wave, like the sellers wanted everybody to wear masks, and I told everybody, if you want to come in, you have to wear a mask. And we had masks there for whoever didn't have them. So kind of just following whatever. Yeah, it's weird. It's super weird.
I feel like it's gone nerves from up here to down here. Like at the minimum, it just has like lightened the nerves of everybody.
Yeah.
So that we can have a little bit of a moment.
Well, and I think to that, one of my realizations is one of our values at Keller Williams, the seek first, understand, communicate, seek first, understand, has been a real opportunity for growth for me over the last year, because I really had to learn how to set aside my own personal opinions and preferences and respect for other people, and learn how to maybe agree to disagree on things in a respectful way. So I mean, I think that's probably the new norm going forward, because I think if we don't learn to do that at a high level as a professional, it's going to limit who we can work with.
Good point, Jake.
And it's either A, we make that choice and are okay with that, or B, we go, okay, how can I seek to understand a little bit better what my client's perspective is?
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else have questions?
They're also quiet, Katie.
I know. You can tell the high D's in the room that have been dominating the conversation.
Oh, I'm not Heidi at all.
Really?
Oh,
Hi,
this is the lowest. Nope, I'm CNS.
Wow.
But in a small group, I can speak. Don't put me in front of 100 people though.
Well, I'm super appreciative that you have been sharing, because you've got some great information. Thank you.
For sure.
I know I'm always curious to hear from like the ones that aren't saying anything or not asking, like what's going on in their mind, what are they reflecting on, what's that question they actually have they're just not throwing out there.
Feel like you're calling some people out, Jake.
No, we've got several quiet ones. Eleanor's being quiet, Chris is quiet, Scott's quiet.
Scott's got an awesome pool. Chris, I saw you unmute yourself too.
Yeah, that's in my basement.
Oh, man. I'm just listening, taking it all in. Multitasking like I always do.
Chris has 14-year-old triplets, so you're always multitasking.
I know, but no one's home right now, so that's good.
Nice. All right, guys, speak now or forever hold your peace. Till next month.
So what I'd like to know, because although I have more people in my database, I don't get a lot of response from the people in the database. They're not deleting the emails or anything, or they're not, whatever it is, they're not unsubscribing. But as far as clients that I've actually helped in the last 2 years, because that's how long I've been doing business, I have maybe 16 clients So do you just do tiny little events for those particular clients? How would you do a client event when you're really starting out in business?
Do a small happy hour and invite all 16 and see who shows up. Keep it simple.
The event I actually did with another agent in our office, so that we could split the cost. She had her group, I had my group, because it was 2 years ago, so I didn't have as many clients. And it was a way to work around that, paying for 10 people or 15 people that might show up, because from the 16, not everybody will show up, right? So.
Thank you.
And I did it super simple. So I got an ice cream sundae buffet kind of from Pacific Perks, I think is the name. It was for $100. They could feed like 100 and I don't know how many ice creams, and people could choose their toppings. And I rented a space at the park, and that was it. So $500 investment divided by 2, and everybody got their ice cream and just mingled in the park. Pretty inexpensive.
I've seen too where like you almost create your preferred like group, where it's the people that have either done business with you or have referred you business, and you do
the VIP group.
A VIP group, exactly. And you do special things for them, and it truly is small. So maybe, I mean, depending on the level of or how much business they've given you or how comfortable they are with meeting, like could you do a special dinner with them, or could you do like a movie night or something if they have families? Like just treat them like VIPs because it's such a small group.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
When I like Katya's idea of even if you're just getting started and have a small database, like you could partner with 2 or 3 other agents you trust and don't mind cooperating with. And then if you have enough people, you might find, a lender or some kind of other partner too that might be willing to fund it, or at least help fund it. So then you're splitting it 3 or 4 ways.
Great question, by the way. Thank you for asking it. These are all really good ideas.
Do title companies ever help fund things like that? I know that they give away all kinds of things, but I don't know.
And I know that title companies specifically have to be really careful in that area due to RESPA rules. But be creative. What I found too was be creative in that, like find a home inspector, find a landscaper, find a, just work your network, find out. And like I had a financial advisor. I was like, hey, I've got this thing coming up. You want to work together on it? I'm gonna have 100 people there. He was like, yes, please. And he didn't do a commercial. He just showed up and worked the crowd, introduced himself, So I think sometimes I used to get locked into like, it's got to be a lender. And then I was like, wait, like I send business to all of these people. Like, be creative there.
Yeah, Jake, that makes me think, okay, well, do you have a photographer that would give their time to taking pictures depending on the type of event? Or do you have a catering company that would donate food for a special type of event so that they're getting exposure? Like you could get really creative depending on what type of event you want to do and have multiple people donating in different ways. It may not have to be monetary, like they could provide their services too.
Yeah, we actually did that at one of our events. Like if you're doing some kind of pop-up around a holiday, we did have a photographer come in and do like one free family photo. And then they, of course, hey, let me email that to you. And then they would put a link to book an actual photography session with them. So for us, it was an added like fun thing in our event that didn't cost us anything.
That's a great thing to do in like the upcoming months, because I know that it's really popular to do family pictures in late summer, early fall. That way you have like your Christmas card photo and some things like that. So that's a great one for the next couple months. Now I want to throw all kinds of events, guys. All right, we probably have time for one more question. Anybody got a burning desire to ask the group? No questions.
One quick question
Yeah.
regarding Zoom and listings. Is anybody doing all the paperwork on Zoom? Sharing the screen? Or has that changed for you with Zoom, the actual listing paperwork?
I heard people doing that. I'm not. I would send it after. I'm actually not good at that. It's like sometimes it's the day before photos and I still don't have the signed contract. And I'm like, I know they're going to sign with me, so that's one thing that I have to improve. So not in the presentations, no.
So do you just email it to them or do you go over it with
Yeah,
them in person?
DocuSign, and I would explain, well, sometimes I explain it mostly on the email itself, just, the main points. But yeah, probably should be more, going point by point with them or something. No, I'm not. I just email that to them.
How about property disclosures? Are you doing that, through DocuSign, but doing it on Zoom or?
Also DocuSign for them to fill out. Yeah. I don't know if someone else is doing something different. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say with our team, we share the screen right there with them, walk them through it. And then, it depends on their technology ability. Like some of them are savvy enough, they have another device they've got it opened on, or they can like multitask in the screen. But some of the clients literally will just walk right to it on the shared screen with us, and then we can literally see them live sign digitally. So that does a logical skill.
That's what I was wondering, how many people are doing that, like you, Jake?
Are you going over it on Zoom? Raise your hand. Jake's frozen, or he'd have his hand raised. Okay, there we go. You, me, and Jake, Troy.
Wow.
I think there's times when that works and there's times when it doesn't, right? Like Jake was saying, when your clients are tech savvy and you let them know ahead of time, hey, we're going to go over this on Zoom. Make sure you have the ability to log into Zoom and log into DocuSign. I've had that work really well for me in some meetings. And then there's times when it doesn't because people aren't tech savvy. And I guess maybe that's a pre-qualifying question. How good are you at technology? Great question, though. Awesome. Well, you guys, it is 9:45, so I want to respect your time and allow you to get to your 10 o'clock meetings or start your lead generation. So thank you for being here today. And I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.